Sorry, everybody. There is no podcast today. Sorry about that. But I mean, since you're here already, how about I tell you a quick little story? Alright, so we got a protagonist in this story, right? I'm gonna keep the descriptions of them very, vague. Because, they're a protagonist of this story, and, protagonists need to be relatable. So I won't be saying things like their gender, or, their features, race, ethnicity, where they're from, anything like that. Except that they're from Earth and that they're young. And I won't say their actual name, but I'll give them a pretty common name to make sure you can't figure out anything distinctive about them. Anyway, this is the story about Muhammad. So Muhammad was a young entrepreneur, and they were just getting into college, going through their gen eds and stuff, of course. But something happened one day. They were just, going through their gen eds when they discovered that college kind of sucks. Now, many people, it takes them only like 5 days to notice this, but Muhammad, they were, not like other people. It took them a whole 2 weeks to figure it out. But after those 2 weeks, they were like, this sucks. Aw, jeez. So they decided to do what normal people do when they don't know what to do and go out into nature and explore nature. Because, usually you get like one gen ed class with an English professor who tells you about the people that tell you the answer to everything is in nature. So Muhammad went out into nature to contemplate their life and their decisions and what they wanted to do. While out in the woods, they heard a very mysterious noise. It was like that, except way quieter. But they were attracted to it enough to keep following it, and it was like at that exact volume. They started approaching it, and they discovered a bright light that started shining upon them. It was a bright purple light that started to fully encompass them, which is very scary because that's normally not what you find in the woods. They began screaming, "Oh goodness, what have I gotten myself into?" And then they started screaming until finally with their eyes closed. And then their eyes opened and they discovered that they were in some sort of shopping mall. The shopping mall was in the midst of an evacuation. A lot of people were running one direction away from there was alarms blaring, all stuff like that. Alarms blaring, alarms blaring. They were going CPW alert, CPW alert, and then a bunch of guys in a bunch of black uniforms with head visors so you couldn't see them were going hut 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 hut, looking around with big scary guns. So naturally, Muhammad, terrified, decides to go with everyone else because they seem to know what they're doing. But as soon as they try that, a suspicious rake outside of the gardening store was there, and they accidentally run into it and knock it themselves upside the head and pass out. They wake up next to a man inside in the space behind most stores in an outlet mall. Shh, says the man. Who the heck are you? Says Muhammad. The man looks at him in the eyes. The man considers this and then pulls out a gun and is about to shoot. Muhammad sticks his hands in the air. Please don't do this to me, she says. I wouldn't know what to do. I don't know what's going on. I'm so scared. One minute I was in the woods, and now I'm here. Wait. The man with the gun sighs and then puts the gun away. I'm sorry to throw a gun at you in your face, says the man. It's just that, you know, if asking my name is a very touchy subject. Anyway, follow me. The man gets up and with his big satchel on his back and starts heading a direction. There's alarms still blaring in the background, and Muhammad begins to get the sense that this guy may be trouble, but this guy also has a gun, which means, you know, running away from the person with the gun when they don't tell you to run away is usually a bad decision. But regardless, Muhammad, despite the suspicious movements and suspicious everything that was going on, because they didn't know what was going on, followed close behind the man. Well, why is your name a touchy subject? The man turned around. Name's Casey Parker Wing. Nice to meet you. I take it you're not from around. Well, heck, I don't know where you'd be from if you don't know what's going on right now. I'm from. Uh. Now, I'm going to censor this part because, again, I want Muhammad to be a very. A character that anyone can relate to. So I'm not going to say where they're from. But after they did say they were from. Uh. Hmm. After they did say where they were from, After they did say they were from, Casey Parker Wing began to look closely into Muhammad's eyes. Muhammad has eyes, by the way. I didn't say that, but I felt it was obvious. Well, you see, there's this big crazy guy around, kind of known through many dimensions, who really, really hates people with the name Casey Parker Wing. So he's put a hit out on all of them. Of course, when I first started going around, I didn't know this, because it's a really weird thing to get mad about. But, you gotta live. I've learned to survive, despite the fact that I got not really much special about me. As he said this, he dug into his bag and then pulled out a grenade and then put it into one of the pipes that was open. Muhammad began to study and noticed a lot more little movements that Casey Parker Wang would make. Nothing that any human couldn't do, but it felt like he was constantly juggling 18 different things to do. He was such as throwing grenades in that pipe, as I mentioned earlier, checking a little scanner he puts out on his pocket, pulling out a gun and a silenced pistol, and shooting a little camera. But the part where it came into a head is when Casey Parker Wang put a little finger up to Muhammad's mouth and went into the next room and heard the crack of a guy's neck and then came back in. Well, I've learned to survive, said Casey Parker Wang. And the way to survive is actually pretty easy if you don't got any special powers about you. All you gotta do is just have 11 ways out of any and all situations, and you also have to make yourself slightly insane. That's the other key to it. You gotta be slightly crazy, and you gotta manage your time in a very particular way. As he said this, Casey Parker Wang passed out on the floor. Muhammad stopped, when and then waited breathlessly. He thought about a few things he had said. Dimensions? Casey Parker Wang? Aw, jeez, said Muhammad. What have I got myself into this time? This was a common phrase of Muhammad. Suddenly, Casey Parker Wang burst up. Sorry there. I had to. At exactly this time is when I spend 5 minutes sleeping. I have to divide my sleeping time up enough, and I think I've given us enough time to. Gave myself just enough time. Anyway, let's keep going. So they kept going through many different places, and a conversation formed where they began to explain to each other a little bit more of what was going on. You don't know what dimensions are? Said Casey Parker Wang. Oh man, you must be from that one place. I forget the name of it, but, yeah, you must be from there, I suppose. I guess, said Mohammed. Can you explain, like, what you mean by dimensions? Casey Parker Wang opened his mouth to begin to speak, but then stopped. No, actually, I mean, I know how it works, right? But it's a bit complicated to explain. Like, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't feel like explaining it right now. So Casey Parker Wayne continued, without explaining how it worked. They continued on, and eventually, after Casey Parker Wang took out all the bad guys in black head visors who came for him, they eventually reached the point, a door that opened up to where the crowds of people were running to, a little checkpoint where they could leave. All right, said Casey Parker Wang, you just go out with those guys, and what you're gonna do, he said, is I think you need a little bit of help because I mean you don't need like big to be all big and strong to survive out here, right? But I don't think you're sufficiently prepared to survive out here on yourself by yourself. So I want you to go out through there, and I want you to look for a little fella whose name is Roger. You're gonna look for Roger. Roger? Okay, said Muhammad. And they were pushed out into the crowd of people running and screaming. Oh my god! One of them said. CPW alert! Oh, what has this world come to? I can't believe there was a CPW next to me, said another civilian. Ah, geez, me too, said Muhammad. I can't believe it. What has the world come to? Everyone looked upon them with agreement. It's sad times we live in, said another civilian. Now, but alas, at last, they were out. Eventually, once they got out of the mall, they discovered that everything looked pretty much like it does where they're from. If going based off of dimensions and some movies and books they've read, uh, dimensions don't tend to change all that much. It still looked a lot like Earth. There was still like roads and gas stations and a bunch of other stuff going on. So Muhammad went out and started asking, "Hey, is there someone named Roger around here?" Roger? Everyone looked around. Is Roger your son or something? No, it's just someone I'm looking for, said Muhammad. Oh, there's someone over there named Roger. And they pointed across the street to a gas station where two men were sitting arguing with each other. So Muhammad went up to them and said, "Excuse me, sir, are you Roger?" "Yeah, I'm Roger," said Roger. Uh, someone told me that you could help me get home. I'm very lost, and I don't know how dimensions work." Roger said, "Oh, how dimensions work? That's actually pretty easy to explain." And as soon as Roger tried to begin explaining it, he kind of stumbled over his words. You see, it's like it's it's a Actually, it's pretty complicated, and I don't really feel like I know how it works, right? But like it's pretty complicated to explain. So I think yeah, you'll figure it out. Someone will tell you probably, but it's just something that you should just know. It's like kind of base knowledge that a lot of people know. It's something that you should just know, like, and I just don't really feel like explaining it. Is that all right? Muhammad looked at Roger. I guess. Roger said, "You know, I don't like you. I'm gonna leave now." And Roger left, never to enter the story again. So Muhammad turned to the other guy that was next to Roger. So, you heard all that? This man was very, very cool, is the description I shall give him. Not because he had like a particularly like cool features or he he didn't have cool features. He didn't have sunglasses or sweet clothes. All his clothes were pretty torn up and stuff, but not in the cool way, in the kind of like ugh kind of way. He didn't have like suave nature about him. He had like a really weird overbite with like some teeth sticking out where they really shouldn't be sticking out. No, what was cool about him was his giant sword that he had in his right hand. It was awesome. It was like one of those really big swords that's like way too big to move, but he was able to move it anyway. And he right now he was in the position where like he had the sword over his back and his shoulder. Where you know that one where it looks really sick. That's what he was doing right now. Who are you? He looked at the man and saw that he had a name tag. Apparently, he worked at this gas station, and his name was Gunga. Oh, Gunga, you heard that entire conversation, didn't you? Is there any way you could help me? Gunga looked blankly into Muhammad's eyes. Why, yes, of course, said Gunga. I shall help you immediately. And so they set off to try and help. Gunga turned around and said, "We shall start on this road, and we'll find wherever we can go. Maybe we'll find like a dimensional airport, if you will. I mean," he looked and said, he looked at Muhammad. "You don't know how dimensions work, and frankly, I don't really feel like explaining it. It's a bit too complicated, you know. Anyway, let's be off." And they started off. And they made pretty good progress. They got about like half a mile down the road when all of a sudden a giant pirate ship appeared. Now, at this point, they were arguing about which direction to go, which is kind of strange because it was only Gunga arguing with himself. Muhammad was just kind of there. Gunga couldn't decide which way to go, left or right, so he turned around to face Muhammad and asked Muhammad where they think they should all go. I don't really know. That's when the pirate ship appeared from behind Gunga. Now, this pirate ship was very big, and in normal circumstances would have absolutely laid waste to Muhammad in an instant. But luckily, Gunga was in front of where the pirate ship was making impact with him. And luckily for Muhammad, Gunga is stronger than pirate ship. And as soon as the pirate ship made contact with Gunga, Gunga won, and a hole was broken into the pirate ship that just so happened to also perfectly fit Muhammad into the pirate ship. "Oh, geez," said Muhammad. That tickled. Now they were in a pirate ship, and the pirate ship kept blasting through different dimensions. It was like constant flashbangs happening outside the pirate ship. But then they suddenly heard, "Aye, it seems that there's been some damage to the pirate ship. Arg, I'm a pirate." So then, five pirate-looking men, all who looked the exact same except for different colored do-rags, came downstairs and began immediately repairing the hole in the ship. Once they finished, they looked at each other satisfied, drank a little pint of whatever pirates drink, and all pointed their pistols directly at Muhammad's face. "Aw, jeez," said Muhammad. "Not again." And so Muhammad and Gunga were put into the brig, which is pirate speak for jail. There were two cells, one across from them and the one that Muhammad and Gunga were in. As they were there, they noticed that there was someone sleeping in the other cell. Sleeping very soundly, with a little bit of a me kind of rhythm to their sleep. Gunga's sword had been confiscated from him, which was sad because it was the coolest thing about Gunga. Now Gunga looked infinitely less cool. And this upset Muhammad. Muhammad looked at Gunga and said, "Do you know how we're going to get out of here and get your sword back?" Gunga just looked at Muhammad for a second and said, "I have a plan, but I want to see what you do first." Why? "I see great potential in you, Muhammad. I think you will do great things. But first, I think you should try and prove yourself." Okay," said Muhammad. Muhammad looked around the cell and discovered little pieces of trash, stick, like a little piece of wood that was sticking out that was like a stick, and then he eventually crafted in something that looked kind of like a fishing rod, except not like clean like a fishing rod. Like it didn't have a very good hook, but it was just enough to be able to try and fish for the keys that were placed outside, just directly outside the cell. I've got this," said Muhammad. Muhammad threw back and cast the line over at the fishing rod. I mean, not the fishing rod, the keys. Unfortunately, the fishing rod went with the line, and the fishing rod also went out into the middle of the room. Gunga looked at Muhammad and sighed. "All right, I shall engage in my plan." Gunga went up to the cell bars and then very cleanly pried them open with enough room for him and Muhammad to get out. While they were there, they heard the sleeping voice in the other cell wake up. Are you trying to get out of here? Yes. Are you trying to impede our escape? No, they locked me up in here. I used to be the captain here before this stupid, the pirate thinks for a second. I actually don't remember his name, but I used to be the captain of this here ship, named Scurvy Bones. Now, I know what your first thought is, and no, the man is not a skeleton, nor does he have any medical conditions about him. It's just a nickname. Name's Scurvy Bones. I don't have any medical conditions. It's just a name that was given to me, and I kinda like it. Anyways, says Scurvy Bones, I think if you let me out of here, I will help you escape this right here ship. Okie dokie, artichoke, said Muhammad, as Muhammad took the keys and they opened the lock on the door. Before we go, said Scurvy, let me take you over to our treasure, and maybe there's something that can make Muhammad a little less... Muhammad was gestured to by Scurvy Bones. Like they are now. Something a little more capable is the word I'm looking for. Capable. So they went out, and then Scurvy Bones showed them into a room that was glowing with treasure. It shined so brilliantly. There was gold and silver and a bunch of other interdimensional, like, shiny stuff that makes people go, ooh, ah. They got in the room, and then Scurvy Bones said, how about this right here? And he brought out a necklace and put the necklace over Muhammad's neck. This should help ye. How is a necklace gonna help me? You'll see. Just keep your ear out and listening for what the necklace tells you. Okay, said Muhammad. And so they went up to the deck of the ship where the new captain lay, the nameless captain, because Scurvy Bones forgot his name. So it goes, because Scurvy Bones didn't remember it, it goes unrecorded in the history that I have, that I am currently reading to you. So, I mean, let's call him Captain Smiley. There we go, Captain Smiley, because, well, he was known to frown a lot. He actually frowned a lot of the time. So maybe Frowny. We'll call him Captain Frowny. So they get up. Captain Frowny is this big buff guy. Says Captain Frowny. It seems Scurvy Bones and that awesome guy and that other person have come up here, said Captain Frowny. As soon as Muhammad was met to face battle, realized they were about to face battle with this captain and the crew, a sudden little whisper appeared in Muhammad's ears. The whisper was words. The words told Muhammad something, and they immediately recognized it. Muhammad immediately crouched down into a position and put their hands in a certain position as if they were about to throw something very big. Super awesome mega blast, Muhammad said as the words told him to say. And as soon as they said it, a huge burst of awesome energy appeared and killed the Captain Frowny instantly, and it was awesome. Even Gunga thought it was awesome. Gunga is like really cool. Gunga knows what awesome is, and even then they were like, holy crap. Scurvy Jones was like, oh, I didn't think that actually worked, but yay! So they knocked the captain off his little hiney, but he accidentally hit the little wheel that turns the ship. And so the ship started going off again and going through many different dimensions. Many flashbangs kept happening, a bunch of crazy stuff. Until finally, everything stopped. And everything was dark. said Mohammed. Gunga? Gunga? Scurvy Bones? I am here, lad, said Scurvy Bones. I'm also here, said Gunga. Where are we? I don't know, said Scurvy Bones. Some dimension that I don't think any of us have seen before. Whatever it is, it's very dark. Gunga reached into his pocket and pulled out a little flashlight. Where'd you get the flashlight? Said Mohammed. I usually carry stuff like me on this, said Gunga. I'm horribly afraid of the dark. Gunga shined the light into the darkness, but the darkness was much more powerful. It was hard to make out any walls or any other surface besides the floor they were on. And suddenly, from the darkness seemed to merge into a figure. Two hands appeared out, and a horrible face showed itself to them, towering high above them. Giant face, giant hands. Oh, guys, said Mohammed, you're gonna want to see this. Gunga and Scurvy Jones looked over at the horrible creature. It remained silent. What are ye? Said Scurvy Bones. I, said the darkness, have no name. I am the nameless darkness, said the nameless darkness. Aw, jeez, said, Mohammed. Now, what you will do, you will play a game with me. If you fail this trial, I shall kill you immediately. If you do not accept the challenge I present, I shall also kill you immediately. All the participants leaned in. What do you want us to do? Said Mohammed. Have you ever heard of, said the darkness, Monopoly? Oh, hell nah, said the Scurvy Bones. I'd rather die than play Monopoly. One of the hands made a quick snapping gesture, and suddenly a horrible screaming noise appeared from down below. A red, horrible light appeared under Scurvy Bones as many horrible hands laid themselves on Scurvy Bones to take him to the pits of hell. They clawed at his flesh and every part that hurts the most to be clawed at. Oh no! Please help me! Oh my god! 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 No, I'll play with it! Oh my god! Oh Bobby! Oh my god! I'm so scared! I don't want to die! I don't want to die! It's so scary! Oh my god! Oh my god! And Scurvy Jones died. Any other dissenters? Said the Eternal Darkness. I'm down, said Mohammed. What's Monopoly? Said Gunga. Monopoly is... The Nameless Darkness thought for a second. Well, how you play is... Actually, the way Monopoly works is hard to explain. I mean, it's basic knowledge, pretty complicated. Everyone kind of knows how it works. You know how it works, right, you? Gesturing towards Mohammed. I know how to play Monopoly, said Mohammed. Yeah, you just sit out and Mohammed will play for both your lives. And so a Monopoly game was started between the darkness and Mohammed. It lasted about 5 hours, but luckily for us in this story, Mohammed was very good at Monopoly. They actually got pretty much won at the first hour in, but the Nameless Darkness kept finding ways to just barely survive and hold on to the last properties that it had. But regardless, the game was finished and Mohammed had easily won. I did it, said Mohammed. No, how dare you do that? No, 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 no. Suddenly a light appeared out of nowhere. Jeremy, what are you doing? What are you talking about? Jeremy, are you messing with visitors to our realm again? No, Mom, I'm just, Get out of here. You're so stupid. Did you just call me stupid? No, go, you go outside and take out the trash right now, mister, because the trash man comes today, and if we do not get the trash out right now, we have 2 weeks worth of trash, because you didn't take it out last week either, so we have 2 weeks worth of trash, and you got it, and this continued until Jeremy, or the Nameless Darkness, now named, left. The Mother Darkness approached the Gunga and Muhammad. So what brings you two here? Gunga explained the entire situation as he knew it, and then Muhammad explained the entire situation as they didn't know it. Well, I'll be, said the Mother Darkness. By the way, you can call me Suzanne, because you don't have to call me Mother Darkness. You can call me Suzanne. Okay, Suzanne, said Gunga. Okay, said Muhammad. What you gonna want to do? I'm gonna go ahead and send you to a friend of mine. We meet for book club on Thursdays, said Suzanne. Her name is Haram, and she's very good at finding this kind of stuff out. She does a little bit of witching in her, spare time. She knows lots of spells, and especially she knows one that can take anyone back to where they're from. So, yeah, I'll just send you on over there. She snapped, and all of a sudden they were in a completely different place. They were in the most evil place imaginable, horrible place. The place where one expects to find lone witches concocting spells and potions. They were in a suburban neighborhood. Like the one from Despicable Me where all the houses are the same, except all the houses are actually the same. Good evening, Vihi, said Haram. Suzanne sent me a message as why you're here. I can concoct a potion that should be able to take you back where you're from, Muhammad, said Haram. But first, I need one special ingredient for my delicious potion. Okay, said Muhammad. Very well, said Gunga. But the only one who can provide you such an ingredient for me to give that will enable me to give you the potion you require, said Haram. The one you must go out and to the wizards. But not the wizards that you know, no. The wizards participating in a thing called gang culture. You see, there are two rival gangs in our city. One known as very fearfully as the Shadow Wizard Money Gang. And the other one known fearfully and dreadfully as the Harry Potter Dweeb Gang. Gunga shuddered in fear. I've only heard tales of horrors happening in the Harry Potter Dweeb Gang. Okay, gulp, said Muhammad. Lucky for you, I believe the ingredient can be found with the less scary but equally formidable Shadow Wizard Money Gang. Go off to them. I shall give you directions to where you can find one of their leaders. He shall help you. And so they went off. They found a very nice building that was run down in all the nicest ways possible. Not run down in the sense that it was completely abandoned, but run down in the sense that it had been kindly used by its inhabitants. As soon as they got in front of the store, two men guarding the door started pointing their wands sideways at Muhammad and Gunga. We're here to get something from the leader here, finished Gunga. No way we're letting that happening, said one of the guards. Gunga killed him. Right this way, sir, said the other one. And they were led in. sitting on a couch that had been perched above slightly a higher elevation than were everyone else in the room, to be kind of more throne-like, sat the leader of this gang named Dunny. Now listen, man, said the gang leader of the Shadow Wizard Money Gang. The only thing I think you can give us that we really require is the legalization of nuclear bombs. We're tired of, trying to hash things out with our measly little wands. We just want to blow them up, you know? I've had it up to here, Dunny said, and indicated his hand to point that here was a considerable height. With these Harry Potter dweebs, like, those guys are messed up. And they've been, like, killing us and stuff. We gotta get them out of here, you know? Very well, said Gunga. What would you have us do? Dunny looked at them and smiled. I've hatched a very evil and nefarious plot. Now, usually we don't. I would never ask any of my guys to go out and do anything this horrible, but because you ain't one of my guys, I mean, and because you seem pretty desperate for the reward I will give you, I'll put this task up to you. He gave them a little slip of paper that gave them instructions. Muhammad and Gunga read it slowly. Next thing they knew, they were on their way to Congress, to lobby Congress. They continued lobbying for about a whole month, it took, actually. It was very hard, but, like, Muhammad gained a lot of valuable experience about the legal system and ended up having to get a attorney's badge in order to continue their thing. Luckily, Muhammad is actually very intelligent, was able to pass the bar exam, like, in record time. Like, seriously, like, can we just give a hand to Muhammad right now for that? Anyway, so eventually it came down to the highest court. They went in and they saw that the highest court consisted of one creature with 3 heads at the judge's seat. The person opposing them, the defense against the legalization of nuclear bombs, was a very lawyery looking guy that we don't really need to give much special attention to. Anyway, Muhammad went up there and tried to think of the best argument for the legalization of nuclear bombs. Honor of the highest order, said Muhammad. Muhammad had gained a lot of confidence recently. I think that all the confidence was lost. Muhammad forgot everything that they and Gunga had prepared to say in argument. But now they were in the midst of it and they had to do something. So then Muhammad got an idea. Super awesome mega blast! And Muhammad shot out a super awesome mega blast that was super awesome. It reverberated. Super awesome mega blast. Super awesome mega blast. Super awesome mega blast. Super awesome mega blast. Reverberated out throughout as far as the eye could see and the ear could hear. The highest order's eyes widened. Your Honor, I think that this was highly out of order. They should be penalized. They broke a hole in the ceiling, said the stupid defense lawyer, who was dumb and an idiot. Your Honor, said Muhammad, don't you see how awesome that was? Didn't you see that and go, that was mega super awesome? Now, think about how awesome that was because of how powerful it was. Therefore, said Muhammad, think about how much more awesome and cool nuclear bombs are. We gotta legalize them. Everyone's gotta be doing super awesome, cool stuff like that. The Supreme Order thought for a moment. Your Honor, you can't really be considering this, can you? The Supreme Order did, and they decided for the legalization of nuclear bombs. Hooray! Said the people in the little stands that are normally in courts. Muhammad and Gunga went back from the capital of wherever they were from, in whatever dimension they were in, on whatever planet they were on. Back over to Dunny. Thank you, sirs. Here you go. And he handed them a little pouch, very similar to the pouch that Casey Parker Wang had about 30 minutes ago in this story. Muhammad only wondered what this bag could contain. What horrible ingredient that they had that only Dunny could find in here. So they went back to Haram's house.
Very well seeing you here, hee
said Haram.
Oh, have you brought the ingredients you need?
Muhammad handed over the pouch. Haram looked inside of it and smiled.
Ah, it is here, the ingredient you require for me to make the potion.
And Haram began pulling out wads of cash from the pouch. It totaled about $1.5 billion in United States currency.
I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich,
said Haram.
This was the ingredient I needed,
she said.
You have given me sufficient payment. That was the ingredient. Now, here's the potion.
And she handed it over to him. It was a potion actually on a shelf. They could have gotten it any time if Muhammad only knew. Well, it's been real fun. I've learned a lot from this, I think, said Muhammad. I shall miss you, said Gunga.
Thanks for the money,
said Haram. And so Muhammad drank the potion. And then, like nothing ever happened, Muhammad woke up in the middle of the woods where they were teleported out. It wasn't a dream. A month had still passed, and many people and Muhammad had to spend a lot of time catching up on classes and informing people that they were safe. But Muhammad kind of had an idea of what they wanted to do. They went into law and they started a business, a very fine business. They became a very fine business person. But as can be the case with such a big adventure, full of wonder and magic, they began to bore of the real world. Not that those other worlds were less real, but this one was more grounded in reality as you and I know it. There was a lot of harsh... Reality is very harsh, and so Muhammad began to grow very bored and very sad and began to long for the just one more adventure. If only they had not drunk that potion, if they had continued adventuring around and seeing new sights and meeting new people. But now they had people to take care of and a business to run, and they became a very sad business person. They found themselves roaming around the street. Very sad. Until... Well, I shouldn't say until. They were still very sad. But, you see, they happened to run in... The business person, Muhammad, ran into a clown that day. And, well, the story of the business person and the clown is a story for another day. But yeah, sorry guys. I'll try getting a podcast out soon.